which is we'll have it at one of the cabins, and it's right by the square. Uh, we DMR does the cooking for the shrimp and oysters and some fish, and then we others bring in some other sides to go with it. Last year we had over 600 people. We started this thing 4 years ago with about 30 people, and now we're up to over 600. So if you're in Neshoba County on the 31st day of July, make sure you got shorts on. But come on over to the thing. It starts about 6 o'clock that night, 5:36, and it'll be a great thing to have. And it's a way for us to sell our seafood. Gulf seafood is what the whole thing's about. How great Gulf seafood is. And what better to do than take it up to Neshoba and Toga, all the other people coming from around the state to be able to see it and see how great it is. So if you're up there, please come by. Shrimp season update. We this year we're at one point as the end of June, we're at 1.7 million pounds of shrimp that's landed, and at about $2.2 million. That's about $1.30, $1.29 a pound. Obviously very low, better than last year but we had a lower number this year, but at 2.75 million pounds landed last year, but only 3.3 million at $1.20. So it went up a little bit, but the problem is that we still have not having the landings, and it's not the fact that the shrimp aren't there. There's plenty of shrimp. It's just we don't have the shrimpers to go after it. And the reason they're not going after it is for one thing, and that's because when you're paying $5 a gallon for diesel fuel and going out and coming back and you're getting $1.30 a pound, you're hardly making enough money to make the trip worth it. So people last year, when in the late say 2007, 2008 time frame, we had over 750 boats that went out the first day of shrimp season. This year we had 47. That tells you where the industry's going. The industry's going just like this, and it's for 2 or 3 reasons. Number one is the price, which Jonathan can tell you more than anything about being a processor, but the price of what it is, and the other is our imports. We've got to do something to stop the imports. The imports coming into America, when they're coming in and selling them for hardly anything, and it's killing the industry. And it's not just the shrimp industry, it's killing other industries too. So we need to look at that. If you get a chance to talk to your congressman, or your senator, the governor, or anybody else, please express how important it is that we do something with the imports and put a tariff on them, put something on them to change it. Because when our shrimpers cannot go out and make a living, and yet there's plenty of the greatest Gulf shrimp in the world right here, there's a problem. We need to look at it, and we need to try to help work it and fix it, okay? As far as the snapper season, well, it's closed right now, and I don't foresee it reopening. We opened on Memorial Day weekend. We had a little 64,000 pounds is what our allocation was, and right now we're in the 60s. The low 60 to a little plus over 60,000 pounds has been caught. This is about a third of what we should be catching. So, the problem is it's something that we're working. That's what MS Krill is going to change. And we're going to be able in the future to get that up to at least 120, 150,000 pounds, something to make it back to where it should be at. And so we'll see what happens. But, it's we wound up getting through the holiday weekend of 4th of July, but that's it. And I don't see us opening anymore, because we don't want to go over. We went over last year and had to pay it back, so we don't want to go over again, and we want to make sure that we do what we need to do there. Let's see. What else have I got here? Bonnie Carey update. If you saw it, we just went out with a press release about the shrimp processors, and where we have money in it for the 2019 Bonnie Carey to be able to give money back to the shrimp processors. And this is something that to help them to go out and be able to put new technology and upgrade their equipment and upgrade the things that need to be done. And this is what's happened in Louisiana, and it's happening here now And so we'll be able to do it. And what they do is they go out and be able to, I think $500,000, is that the number that we're working on, or is there a number set as to how much people can spend?
So there's I think about $3.5 million in the total grant, and we're going to evaluate to see how many applications we get, and then kind of go from there. And it is just a point of clarification, it's for just seafood processors, not just shrimp processors.
Huh?
It's this grant's for all seafood processors.
Right, all seafood
Yeah.
processors, not just shrimp. Yeah, it'll be for any of the processors that are seafood. And this is so they can update their equipment and update their operation and be able to do it a better way and be able to help them stay in business. So hopefully that'll work out. Let's see. We got a update on the excuse me. Derelict vessels. 157 derelict vessels have been reported. 122 have been removed. 35 are pending removal, and 3 are in court order right now. So it's looking pretty good. We're far above the other part of the Gulf Coast, and we're using that $1.6 million that was given to us by the federal government to do this. So that's in the grant that we was able to get, and that's working fantastic. Let's see what else I got here. We're also the commercial safety vessel safety program is also part of the Bonnie Carey, and NOAA approved it on the first, and so it'll start the 1st of September 2019, and then all appeals finalized for the commercial fisherman payout has been done. We've done all the appeals, and we did the very first phase of it to where we gave, if you were a shrimper, you got $7,500. If you were an oysterman, you got $15,000, and we were able to do that. And then they went back, and then we started working on the loss up to $108,000 and some few dollars per person, per company. So now we're able to pay all of that. We've worked all the appeals and everything else, so we're being able to pay them all out. That is fantastic, and we're looking at it as a possibility of where we'll have a round two. Before that, what we're talking on the round two of that is that we may have some money left over that we had to allocate it to be spent in another form for the Bonnie Carey, but was done through Go Mesa, and so we're able to take that money and reallocate it. And so we're going back now and looking at the ones that had, especially the commercial fishermen that did not get in the first round before for whatever reason. Either they were out fishing and did not realize it, or they were, for some reason, did not get there. So we're going to give them a chance to be able to look at it. So hopefully we might be able to come back and make them whole too up to a certain point. So that's a great deal. And we also have the movement on 2020. We got $3 million from the federal government to be able to do another round in 2020, and that's for shrimp and oysters only. But we will be, for shrimp and oyster fishermen only, we'll be able to do a 2020 round, which we will be working on that too. So hopefully we'll be able to get some money in these fishermen's hands and keep them in business, because I tell you what, if we don't, we're going to lose them all. And we definitely don't want to do that. All right, let's see. Action update.
Yes, sir. For actions updates, discussed at the June 2024 meeting, the Commission recommended and the Director approved the following motions. First, there was a motion to recommend the final adoption of changes to Title 22, Part 1, Rules and Regulations for molluscum shellfish-related activities to conform with the requirements of Senate Bill 2648 and House Bill 1007. Second, we had a motion to recommend the following state saltwater finfish records, these being all tackle. For one, a golden tilefish at 23 pounds, 3.2 ounces, caught by Mr. Nathan Bosarge. And second, a permit, 11 pounds, 11.2 ounces, caught by Mark Kleinpeter. And that concludes our actions updates.
Okay. And one other thing is, any questions on the actions updates? Okay. Changes to Title 22, Part 1, updated regulation on the on-bottom leasing and shellfish tagging will go into effect Thursday, July the 18th. that right? So it'll go in effect Thursday, July the 18th. So we'll be able to start now, and we're in the process of finalizing how we're going to be able to do the leases, and hopefully sometime in August that we will be able to go out with a notice to the public to be able to start going ahead and putting the application in to do leases for the on bottom for the oysters, and which is going to be a great deal. We've been fighting this battle for a couple of years now, and thank goodness we got it finally figured out. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done. I think that's everything I have. If something comes up, I'll bring it up later, Commissioner, but that's my report. Thank you.
Sounds good, General.
I do have one other thing. Sorry about that. I knew it wasn't on here. We're officially was supposed to do it this Thursday, but it's now been canceled and it'll be in August. But DMR will now be a part of Wildlife Fisheries Foundation. And it will be the Department of Wildlife Fisheries and Parks and Marine Resources Foundation. So we will be a part of a foundation in which we will be able now for people who would like to donate things to be able to donate, money to an organization to help the marine fisheries in the Gulf of Mexico, and us to be able to do things like scholarships for kids to go into marine biology, and to be able to do fishing tournaments for the youth and underprivileged, and also maybe a governor's fishing tournament. And all will be tax-free now, so you can donate. So it will be something that we'll work it out, but we'll sign that. It'll probably go into effect in August instead of this month. Sorry about that.
Nice. All right,
I
we're
am
done.
through now.
Any of our commissioners have anything to report today? Joe, whenever you were just talking about the problems with shrimpers, it jogged my memory about something we talked about, something I brought up a year or two ago. And maybe it would be beneficial to look back into this again. I know some of our legislators looked at it. Whenever we're talking about our commercial fishermen, obviously imports is always a big issue that's brought up, but just the cost of being able to get out there. One of the things I brought up a year or two ago was road tax on fuel that's being burned in boats. And we had started looking at ways to bypass that or get around that. You know, we're paying taxes that are meant for vehicles on fuel that's being burned through boats on the water that never even get on land. So maybe if we get our legislators to look at that with us again, find a way to where at least these guys could get some of a break on their fuel cost on something that I don't think they should be paying anyhow.
Yeah. Makes good sense, and you know what, my fault for not carrying that further, because I should have, and that's but I will definitely look at that.
Well, you know, it would benefit the charter fishermen and every aspect of commercial fishermen, whether it be crabbers, oysters, shrimp, any of that. And
I mean, if nothing else, we could put it at the docks where they.
at dockside, or another option would be some type of reimbursement program to where they could save their receipts, have an affidavit that every bit of that fuel was burned through a boat if they do trailer, and they could submit that to the state quarterly or once a month and get a reimbursement on that road tax that they're not burning this fuel on the roads.
Okay, I will definitely check into that.
All right.
And I will get with the legislators and see what we can look into that.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Office Marine Patrol, Chief Wilkerson.
Good morning, Commissioners, Legal Director, Commissioner Mayfield, good to have you. Well, looking at the June report, we were compliance-wise with compliance checks, we're at 10.8%. People are doing real well. They're complying with tails and scales. We've written a few tails and scale citations, confiscated a few red snapper. As of this month, when it closed, we were at 95% compliance rate with everybody playing right out there. So it was a good season. This particular report, there's a few citations that stick out: illegal possession of oysters, possession of untagged oysters, and harvest of oysters from prohibited waters. That was all harvested illegally at Claremont Harbor at Bayou Caddy. They were in possession of that, and they were written citations for it. we're looking at probably 2,900 stops for June, which is really good, really high. Everybody is complying. Everybody is playing right with it out there. And we had one other commercial activity north of the 6X bridge, which is a no-no. It was somebody crabbing up there with too many crab fights. Other than that, everything looks pretty normal. If you have any questions, please ask.
I do, thank y'all, thank the officers, each and every one of them. I don't think that I can remember a holiday weekend without a tragedy.
It's been a while.
And
Yes, sir.
you had to, on this time, the 4th of July weekend, no boating accidents that caused death. And I mean, there was a few accidents and there was some other things that went on, but no one died because of it. So that says a lot for what y'all are doing out there every day, and we thank you so much for it.
Thank you. We're hard workers.
Thank you, Chief. Y'all keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Next up is going to be Coastal Resources Management, Laura Moncrief.
My first time, bear with me. So just an update of our Coastal Preserves Bureau and what we've accomplished since the last update, which I believe was in 2022. So the Bureau is made up of 3 programs. We have our Coastal Preserves, Invasive Species, and Beneficial Use Program. And it operates under myself as a Bureau Director and 5 ENRS employees. With our main goal being to manage 16 of the 20 designated coastal preserve sites within our 3 coastal counties. Now there's been 83,000 acres designated as critical coastal habitat. As you can see, it's kind of blurred, but it's outlined in blue. And of that 83,000 acres, the state currently holds titles to almost 46,000, of which we manage. And since 2022, the state has actually acquired an additional 2,900 acres. So we're steadily growing. Where most of our active management actually occurs is within 33 units within those 16 coastal preserve areas, which is about approximately 5,000 acres. Now, to put that in perspective, of those 33, it's 5,000 acres, but when we're having to go to a site multiple times a year, my team is covering over 20,000 acres on an annual basis. And those activities can range from prescribed burnings, planting to thinning, invasive species monitoring and eradication, public access on our coastal preserve areas for our local community on top of tourists, in addition to beneficial use. So since 2022, we've actually conducted prescribed burns on 342 acres, and we've also conducted thinning operations on 25 acres. In terms of invasive species, just on the terrestrial side, we've actually treated almost 1,600 acres, and we're also responsible for monitoring our coastal waterways. So when it comes to our aquatic vegetation, what we conduct in-house, our team is covering about 120 miles annually. We do utilize contractors for some of our efforts, specifically with our apple snails and wild hog eradication, but we have remained diligent in our efforts in maintaining those populations. Now, with the range of activities, our main goal here is, to essentially get, something like you see in these pictures is through effective management strategies of our Mississippi coastal ecosystems. So we try to do our best on, our conservation, preservation, and restoration of these resources. One thing that actually has been essential in our efforts, specifically with our invasive species management, is the utilizing of our Quick Capture app. So through this app, we're actually able to get detailed information of sites that we are treating and or surveying. So from there, we're able to extrapolate the level of treatment that's being taken place at each site and being able to address, questions as far as, Are we seeing population increase in size, decrease, or are they remaining the same? And from there, we can determine how effective our methodologies are. We can also, we're also utilizing this app with our contractors as well. So just to further our data set, so it actually is utilized with the Apple Snail survey as well. Sorry, it's a little grayed out, but let's see if I can get it to go back. There we go. One of our other primary goals is public access. So what we've actually been trying to do within the last few years is go through and update our sites. So we've been putting out new plant markers, installing new trail signs, new kiosk, as you can see below with our new Eric Clark unit, outlooks here at Elmer's. And at each site, we're also responsible for trail maintenance. So since 2022, it's been conducted at 8 units, which is about approximately 30 miles of trails. Again, to kind of put that into perspective of what my team is having to covering when you're having to go out to a site multiple times a year, these guys are having to cover over 75 miles annually. And most recently, we've been able to do road repair at the bottom middle picture at our Jalil unit. Also moving forward, we are planning to partner up with the Grand Bay Near and conduct educational nature trail surveys or nature trail walks for our local public, just to essentially bring more light into our coastal preserve areas, and also in the process of updating our website, creating a more interactive way to, gain information for our public. So whenever they get to a kiosk, if there's a QR code, they can easily pull it up on their phone, see what the trails are, the level of difficulty, local flora and fauna that they'll be able to see at the site. So that's something we're actually in the process of working on right now. In terms of our beneficial use program, so its main goal is to restore and create tidal marsh habitat and all associated habitats as well. To date, the program has restored approximately 350 acres, with the most recent one being our Greenwood Island expansion with 230 acres, of extension. We also have multiple concurrent projects, and all of them are listed, but just to highlight a few. One being our Apollo flight surveys that we conduct monthly, just to get better footage of our invasive species treatment and our beneficial use active sites. We've also partnered with the Forest Service in seed collection of slash pine for nursery stock on top of research. We also help in monitoring efforts with Audubon for shorebird surveys on Deer Island. And we've also partnered with multiple contracting companies who've been extremely instrumental in the eradication and at least controlling populations of invasive species. And like with many offices, we all have our challenges. With ours, unfortunately, one of the primary ones being invasive species. Mississippi holds that prime habitat, for invasives to actually just flourish. Also, these species don't know how to take a break on weekends or holidays, so it's a constant uphill battle for us. Also, with Mother Nature, we do get hit periodically with some bad inclement weather, hazardous storms where we're constantly not able to access sites or having to deal with debris removal. And one of my favorites, when our local public decides they want to put in the effort to use our coastal preserve areas as a trash dumping site rather than just putting forth that same effort and dumping in the appropriate dumping sites. They'd rather use coastal preserves, so that's always fun. But everything I've covered here today and this morning, like I said, I can't take any credit for. It's all from my team. These guys are extremely hardworking. All of them are out in the field right now. I also wanted to highlight past employees who've been instrumental in the program and what we've been able to accomplish. And then more recently, at the bottom right is bottom left, our 2 summer interns who've played a part in a huge contribution to the Bureau and what we've been able to accomplish. With that, I'll take any questions.
was going to ask on the apple snails. I remember last year when it came up. Are we better off now than we were a year ago with all that you guys are doing to control the population?
I will say that we're better off in our monitoring efforts. I will say that, like, being able to utilize quick capture more, I think we have a better handle on what we're doing. I will say that as far as whether the population is truly in decline, that's a little bit harder to answer because of the scale at which they're at. But I will say that, being able to utilize multiple contracting companies, ourselves, and the quick capture app, it's been way more diligent than I feel like it has in the past.
We appreciate everything you guys are doing out there,
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, I just like to also thank Jennifer and her team because they're doing a great job. There's a lot of things out there that are invasive to what's happening in our Gulf Coast, and it's brought in from different things in different ways, and a lot of it comes in off of different ships and everything else that come into here. But they're fighting it. You remember Sylvania back a couple of years ago and how much we were fighting Sylvania down here on the Gulf Coast? They pretty much have taken care of that. It's close. They've really cut down a lot of it. And I tell you, I'm not getting the reports every day of I can't get my boat out of my boathouse. So, there's a lot of things that are happening there. That's just something that every day you have to fight a battle with it. And also to restore all the areas that they're restoring. They're trying very hard to restore. And Jennifer also sits on the permit board for the DEQ, so she represents us for that. So we have a good team working there. So thank y'all, all of you, for what you're doing.
All right. Next up is going to be Finance and Administration, Miss Leslie Brewer.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm presenting the financials for the end of June, which is actually our fiscal year end. At the end of June, our state revenue was $6.8 million, our agency revenue $80.2 million, state net income negative $802,000, and agency net income of $38.4 million. We do have a negative in that state column, but that's because we don't get our appropriations transferred till usually September. I'm not sure why it works that way. And after 12 months, we have 82.7% of our budget remaining in operations, and our tidelands is at 42%. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions? You got all that, didn't you, Kim? Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is going to be Public Affairs, Miss Charmaine.
Good morning, Commissioners, Director, Legal. Welcome, Commissioner Mayfield. The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources had 18 media mentions since the June MACMR meeting. News items included MDMR's free HACCP class being offered, the grant program for certified seafood processors, boater safety, and red snapper season closing. The Office of Marine Patrol took part in Adventures on the Water at the Margaret Sherry Library in Biloxi on June 19th and the Stay Safe and Play event at Point Cadet Plaza on June 30th, along with staff from the Grand Baynier. The Lyman Hatchery hosted 2 visits from Ocean Springs Summer Camps who toured the hatchery on July 2nd and will be having their second tour this afternoon. The Office of Marine Fisheries also hosted a marine conservation class tour at the Bolton Building on July 9th. A Pearl River Community College hydrography instructor and her 2 students observed and assisted with MDMR fieldwork on July 15th by operating a sound velocity profiler while on board an MDMR vessel during the monthly trawl sampling to learn about how MDMR conducts this routine sampling. The Mississippi Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo was held July 4th through the 7th, and the agency was on hand each day at the fishing rodeo, distributing our rules and regulations publication, fish ruler stickers, fish posters, and other informational pieces to the public.
Busy month.
Hey, we took one of them sharks out too. At the fishing rodeo, what was it, 600 something pounds? Or?
I can't remember.
There's big sharks. So one of them biting sharks is out. Now. We don't have to worry about that. It was a tiger shark, I think. So we got one of them off there. Caught at Cat Island.
Wow. Thank you, Charmaine. All right, marine fisheries. This one's always fun. We got some new state records. Trevor?
Yeah, we've got 2 for you with a lot more to come next month as well. A lot of them weighed in after the deadline. So both all tackle records today. First one's Gray Snapper. The old record was 15 pounds, 7.79 ounces. This new record is 15 pounds, 14.4 ounces. Mr. Joseph Rizzuto. Picture of the fish. There's a picture of Joseph with the fish. That is quite the specimen. Next one is an Atlantic Creole fish. Don't see too many of these. Old record was 1 pound, 8.69 ounces. The new record is 1 pound, 9.6 ounces. Mr. Sean Cook. There's a picture of that fish. There's Mr. Cook with the fish. And all we need is a motion to recommend adoption of the new records.
I've never even heard of a Creole fish.
Don't catch them on hook and line very often. They're down there, just not in the same numbers as everything else.
It's pretty cool. Do we have a motion to approve the new state records?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations to these guys that caught them. Was it you? Cam. Did any of our commissioners have any other business today? All right. Public comments. It looks like we only have one. It's going to be Mr. Greg Sinak talking about the roach. Did we get that loaded?
And this is the largest cockroach in the world. It just went away. It must have scurried away real quick. We're building it, and we're going to be moving it over to Biloxi Beach and parking it at the Seafood Museum for about a week. And then we'll, until the cars start having too many wrecks, and they'll look at this, Hesta, you know, boom, hit 'em. So we'll have some little fundraisers on the back for Biloxi, but we're on the Mississippi fishing banks. So here's Will Ladner. He was interviewing for WLX. We're hoping to get maybe Ocean Springs to shoot it with fireworks and everything else. We'll have a big thing going across the bay. We're going to try to move it in about 2 weeks on a weekend. So I don't know if you may need some extra support to protect the cities on the cockroach move. And so, all right, just to let y'all know. And we have some other stuff coming up. We're going to put this out too, just to make sure everybody's protected. So.
Yeah, so they deploy that. When is the deployment?
Surely more than 30 days out. Time to where everybody can get.
Are we calling that cockroach reef?
Yeah.
Cockroach reef, right?
It's actually very large. I mean, that's a 120-foot tugboat. So it's 54 feet long. It's a world's record, and we're going to try to do that. So, but we're also doing it. It's a long story with it is we went out to private sector. A lot of the DMR funds a lot of these deployments, and so now we went out to the private sector to raise more money to the fishing banks to build reefs. And we have some other stuff up our sleeves. You'll find is we're also building some little reefs closer into. So,
Well, Bay Pest Control, I think, is the one.
yes, sir. Right there, Bay Pest Control contributed
And,
quite a large amount of money to have it built and commissioned. And I can't divulge other people right now are interested, but it's going to be some fun things. We're trying to hopefully build a offshore park like they have in Florida. I know the Artificial Reefs here is talking about doing that, maybe art park or something, but that's down the ways. So can you imagine diving on this? Because it's going to be sitting up out of the Merc level. People come down, the divers, cockroach. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So.
They're going to think it was an ancestor of a cockroach, you know, from back in the dinosaur days. All right. Thank you very much.
I love it. That was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody else has one.
Haven't been.
No, that's got to be.
And now I know what a cockroach is. All right. No other public comments? All right, y'all. Good meeting today. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
That